Okay, we're gonna take this chicken and steak and these veggies and turn them into some freezer meals. Plus, I have a few bags of frozen veggies I will be using as well, and a few other ingredients. All right, let's see how it goes. All right, so now here are the vegetables all cut up, and here's my different kinds of meat cut up into different portion sizes for the different things that I'm making. I also had extra chicken breast, so I just cooked it in my Instant Pot, and I'm gonna freeze it so I can throw it in meals on a later date. All right, so I made 7 different freezer meals this week. Actually, it lasted me more than a week. But my goal in February is to eat a little healthier by eating a little more protein and a lot more vegetables. So these meals are healthy-ish. So let's see. This first one is chicken stir fry. So I prepped the chicken and added the sauce, and then I just threw in a bag of pre-frozen veggies because I figured that would be the best way to freeze some of the veggies like broccoli and stuff, so I didn't have to blanch them ahead of time. So I mixed in my various ingredients, and I will link some of these recipes down below. My biggest motivation for making these freezer meals was that I just come home so tired this time of year that I just don't want to cook at all, and I wanted something I could just dump in a pan or in a pot or on a sheet pan and be able to eat within a short amount of time. So that's what I was going for when I thought of the different things that I wanted to cook up or prep up for this week. Here are the veggies that I was talking about. I just threw those in. Of course, you can do whatever kinds you like, but I just found something that would be easy. I was able to cook most of these meals, and I do show that towards the end of the video. Again, here is another meal that I cut up some chicken and seasoned the chicken and put that in the bag. And then I was able to use another bag of frozen veggies that had some Brussels sprouts and some sweet potatoes and some cauliflower, I believe. I've never really been big into freezer meal prep, but I really liked the idea of having something nutritious and healthy that I could cook in a short amount of time. Here's the bag of veggies that I was talking about, and I liked it because it had sweet potatoes in it, and I just really thought that would be yummy with this seasoned chicken. Okay, I made 2 kinds of fajitas, beef and chicken, and I added, for the first one, I added my beef, and then I added my fajita seasonings, which I will link down below. It's your pretty basic seasonings like cumin and garlic powder, onion powder, chili powder, things like that. Once you have all your seasonings in there, go ahead and mix it well before adding the veggies. Now, peppers freeze really well. You don't have to even do anything to them. So I bought a few peppers and cut them up and stuck them in with the meat. Oh, I did squeeze a little bit of lime juice, and I had a jalapeno in the fridge, so I used a little bit of that too. Slice up some onions. Onions also freeze really well. And I did red pepper, green, and yellow. And then I had already had some frozen orange peppers in my freezer, and I just added those in as well. Sorry, my camera work was not so great there, but that was so simple, super easy. Here are the chicken fajitas, and it's basically the same thing. I put the chicken in the bag, and I put the exact same seasonings on it. Added a little bit of oil to this one, a neutral oil, and then I topped it with the seasonings. I think the only difference between this one and the beef one was I don't think I added the lime juice, and also I used a red onion for this one. And when I cooked them up, as you'll see later on in the video, they were so good, very, very flavorful. Again, I add the rest of that jalapeno, and then I add my fresh peppers and my red onion, and then I put in some frozen orange peppers. And here we have another quick and easy meal I can just throw right into the pan. This recipe was a beef stroganoff, and I sliced up some steak, added a little oil. I put in 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. That's my favorite brand, the Pacific brand. And then I put in some fresh mushrooms that were sliced, and a little bit of beef broth. Now this one will need, when it's time to cook it, will need a little bit of sour cream to make it creamier. And you'll want to cook up some noodles as well. Sorry I didn't get a picture of this one because it wasn't very nice looking in the bag, but this is the chicken teriyaki, and I cut up chicken thighs and coated it with some cornstarch. Now you can do this 2 ways. I chose to make the sauce and put it in a separate bag so that when I did pull it out of the freezer, I would be able to brown up the meat and then add my sauce. So I added some brown sugar, some water, some soy sauce, some ginger, I believe. Oh, some rice vinegar. Yep, ginger. And some garlic, which it did not call for in the recipe, but actually this was like one of my favorite chicken teriyakis I've made. A little bit of pepper and a little bit of oil. Mix that all up, and then I put that in a separate bag. Like I said before, you could put this directly in with the chicken. And honestly, I think it would cook up pretty similar. So it's up to you. I really enjoyed this chicken teriyaki. The one thing that I think helped it be a little better was that sometimes teriyaki sauce can be really strong. And this teriyaki sauce I watered down a bit, so it wasn't as strong. Okay, my friends, this was so delicious. I loved this meal. I took my chicken thighs and cut them in chunks and added some curry powder and lime juice, some toasted sesame seed oil, and a little bit of soy sauce, and some rice vinegar, a little bit of red pepper flakes, and some sugar, and some honey. And I will link this below as well. Then you put a scoop of peanut butter in there, a little bit of garlic, mix that up really well, and then you add your coconut milk. And I had canned coconut milk that I added, and it made the best curry sauce. It was so delicious when I cooked it later on. There I am adding the milk, mixed it up and froze it. And then for these meals, I just pulled them out either a day or 2 ahead of time. And here we go. Here are the 7 different meals that I made that I threw in my freezer and ate most nights of the following week. And I also pre-cut up a lot of my veggies so that I could do like a stir fry, fried veggies or whatever to go along with some of these meals. So for the first night, I pulled this chicken stir fry out. It hadn't been out long enough to fully defrost, but I made it work, and it was super simple and really nice to have such an easy meal. Now I was going to partially boil these noodles before I put them in, but there was enough liquid in there. I thought I'll just stick them in and let them soften right in with the rest of the vegetables and meat. So I cooked it thoroughly and mixed it all up, and then we served it, and it turned out really good. It was super simple, easy meal for a weeknight that's super busy, and I'm really tired when I get home from work, so this was great. Here is the next night. I started by frying up these vegetables that I had already pre-cut, so super easy, just throw them in the pan. And I just used a simple seasoning. Just wanted something on the side to go with my other part of this meal, which was the chicken teriyaki. So I warmed up some oil and I fried up the chicken, and maybe part of the problem was it wasn't fully defrosted. So if you're able to take your meat out the night before, that will help things cook a little easier, but I made it work. And then I added my sauce and let that thicken. And once it was thick, I ate it with some rice and the veggies I cooked. So another super simple, easy meal. Very delicious and super easy. The third night I did the roasted veggies and chicken, and I decided to add a little bit of the fresh broccoli to it just to give it some more veggies, coated it with a little oil, a little seasoning, because the chicken was already seasoned. And then I just baked that for 20 or 25 minutes and stirred it halfway through and let it continue to cook and kind of get toasted or roasted, I guess you would say. So that was super easy. And of course, you could add things to this if you want, but I was happy with just having the chicken and the veggies and the potatoes. So here was the beef stroganoff, and it was fairly defrosted, so it's pretty easy to cook up. I just fried up the meat and the onions, and it kind of made a little bit of a gravy, and then that's when I added my sour cream, about a half a cup to 3/4 cup, and I added a little bit of pepper and salt to taste. I cooked up some noodles and threw it right into the sauce. So this was another really simple yet very flavorful, delicious meal that worked out really nice for a busy weeknight. The next meal I made were the fajitas. So I had let those defrost in the fridge, and I just threw it all in a pan and let it cook up nicely, and I warmed some tortillas on the stove while it was cooking. And then when it was ready to serve, I just put some of the mixture on the tortillas and a little bit of sour cream, and that was it. So easy and so delicious. So this was a great one. So the last meal that I was able to cook up this week was that peanut chicken satay. And I just dumped it all out onto a pan, and I just skewered these. Now they still were a little bit frozen, but they were defrosted enough that I could skewer them. And of course, you don't have chicken, if you don't have skewers, you could always just bake them directly onto the pan. So I let those bake for 20 minutes or so, and I threw the rest of the veggies I had in a pan and cooked those up. And once they started to brown a little bit on top, I took them out and tested them, and they were done. So we had rice with this, and we had those veggies that I had stir fried, and it was so tasty and just such a great week.